The planet was dry, dusty, and full of noise. Engines roared, machines screamed, and the air always smelled like hot metal. This was Garan 4, a mining colony far from Earth, and even farther from comfort. Most humans came here for one reason: to work and forget the rest of the galaxy. Logan, a middle-aged human engineer, had been living on this rock for 5 years. He didn't talk much, didn't smile much, and nobody really knew his story. Every morning, Logan walked to Dock 17, the quietest section of the mining yard. He liked it that way. Fewer people meant fewer problems. But that day, something changed. There was someone new at Dock 17. She was small, wearing a large brown hoodie that almost touched the ground. Her skin was light gray with soft purple undertones, clearly alien. Her face was hidden, her arms thin, and she moved quickly, always. Silent, the other workers laughed and called her Ghost Girl. They said she didn't talk, didn't eat with others, and didn't belong here. Logan didn't care at first. He saw aliens all the time, and most of them just wanted to survive. But there was something different about this one. She lifted heavy crates like they weighed nothing. She moved with grace, not like a tired worker, but like someone trained. At lunchtime, Logan sat alone like always. He looked up and saw her sitting under a broken shade panel, eating something. From a cloth pouch, no lunchbox, no words, just quiet chewing and watching. For some reason, Logan felt a strange pull in his chest, curiosity maybe. That night, the sky turned orange as twin moons rose. Logan stayed late to fix a broken conveyor belt. The other workers had left, and only the hum of machines filled the air. Suddenly, he heard a soft humming sound, like someone tuning a song without words. He turned, and there she was, the alien girl, standing still near the broken panel. He said, "You lost?" She didn't reply. He pointed at the machine. "You know what this is?" She walked forward, knelt beside it, and touched a wire. Then, without asking, she began fixing it. Logan blinked. Her fingers moved fast and smooth, pressing buttons and rewiring in a pattern only someone highly trained would know. In less than 2 minutes, the conveyor whirred to life. She stood up, nodded once, and turned to leave. "Wait," Logan called, but she was already walking away. The next day, Logan couldn't stop thinking about her. During his rounds, he asked the supervisor, "Where's the new girl from?" The man shrugged. "No idea. Boss sent her from Admin Unit XZ3. Probably just another cheap worker." But Logan knew that wasn't true. No cheap worker could do what she did. That evening, he waited near the yard, hiding behind stacked crates. He watched her finish work and sneaked toward the back of the storage hangar. She moved like a shadow, avoiding cameras and lights. Logan followed her at a distance, careful not to make a sound. She stopped near the edge of the camp and pulled something from her pouch, a sticker rod. She knelt and began drawing on the ground. Logan squinted, trying to understand. It wasn't just shapes, it was a star map. He recognized the symbols from old galactic charts. She was drawing constellations, real, precise ones. Then she stood and walked away, disappearing into the shadows. Logan stepped forward and stared at the strange map drawn in the dirt. It was impossible. Why would a simple worker know ancient star routes? The next morning, Logan rushed to Dock 17. She was not there, gone. No one had seen her. No records in the system. That's when Logan knew something was very wrong. She wasn't a simple worker. She wasn't supposed to be here. And now, she had vanished like a ghost. But the biggest shock came when Logan returned to his locker. A piece of metal was placed inside, shaped like a strange royal symbol. He had seen that symbol once before, many years ago during a briefing in Earth's military academy. It belonged to the royal house of Cathari, a powerful alien bloodline that was thought to be wiped out in a war. Logan stared at the emblem in silence, his hands trembling. What had he just become part of? Logan couldn't sleep that night. He kept staring at the strange metal piece in his hand. The symbol wasn't just random, it was exact, clean, and perfectly shaped, too perfect for a worker to carry. His mind raced with questions. Who was she really? Why was she hiding in a place like Dock 17? And more importantly, why leave him a royal emblem? The next morning came slow. He walked to Dock 17, half hoping she'd be there again. But the platform was empty. No Hoodie, no soft footsteps, no quiet hums from the corner. Still, something inside Logan whispered that she wasn't far, just. As he began his shift, a loud alarm echoed through the mining yard. One of the deep drill machines had stalled a serious issue. If it wasn't fixed quickly, it could collapse a tunnel and bury workers alive. Logan rushed to the scene, tools in hand. A group of engineers was already there, looking frustrated. Control panels fried, someone said. We'll need at least 2 days to replace the parts, but then. Out of the crowd she appeared, the alien girl. Same brown hoodie, same quiet steps. She walked up to the broken panel without a word. Logan opened his mouth to say something, but stopped. She crouched next to the control box, placed her hand over the melted circuit board, and closed her eyes. Her fingers moved gently, like she could feel the machine's heartbeat. Then she pulled a tiny tool from her pouch, a silver rod with 3 ends, and started adjusting wires. Hey, who let her near the controls? One of the engineers asked, stepping forward. Back off, Logan said sharply. Let her try. Within minutes, sparks flew from the panel, but not in a dangerous way. The machine's lights blinked, then glowed steady. The drill roared back to life, spinning with full power. The crowd gasped, and one worker even clapped. Confused but impressed, she stood up slowly, eyes hidden under the shadow of her hood. Then she looked at Logan for a brief moment, just long enough for him to feel a silent message. Before anyone else could speak, she turned and walked away again, disappearing into the loading area. Logan followed, his steps quick and careful. Wait, he called. She didn't turn, but she stopped near a stack of old cargo boxes. He stepped closer slowly, like approaching a wild creature. You saved lives today, he said. That machine was going to collapse the tunnel. Still no words. Logan took a breath, then opened his palm to show her the metal emblem. I know this, he said. It's royal. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, finally she raised her hand and pulled back her hoodie just a little, enough for Logan to see her eyes. They glowed faintly, violet and gold, filled with intelligence and pain. Her face was delicate, but there was a long scar across her cheek. She looked young, maybe 20. By human standards, but her eyes looked ancient. My name is Takara, she whispered, her voice soft like wind in a tunnel. Logan was speechless. He nodded. I'm Logan. Takara looked around, checking the shadows. Then she spoke again, this time more clearly. I'm not supposed to be here. Clearly, Logan said with a half smile, trying to ease the tension. You're not from any dock crew I've seen. I need to stay hidden, she said. They are hunting me, Logan frowned. Who? The ones who destroyed my house. My people. They think I'm dead, she said, her voice shaking a little. If they know I'm alive, they'll come for me. Logan looked at her closely. She was no ordinary worker. She was a survivor of something terrible, and yet she was helping humans fix machines, risking herself just by being seen. Why help us? He asked. She looked down. Because your kind helped my mother once, when she was injured. My father died protecting the human child during a pirate raid. She continued, I owe your people. Logan felt a lump in his throat. So many humans feared aliens, but here stood one who remembered kindness. He took a step back and nodded. All right, Takara, you can stay hidden. I won't say anything, but, he added, if you need help, real help, you come to me. She gave a tiny nod, then pulled her hoodie back down and vanished behind the boxes again. The next few days passed quietly. No one mentioned the drill incident again. Some said it was just luck. Others claimed the system rebooted itself. But Logan knew the truth, and each night, he sat with the metal emblem on his table, thinking he knew this wasn't over if what she said was true. Someone dangerous would be coming, and when they did, Logan had to decide, would he protect her or stay out of it? He didn't know the answer yet, but deep inside he felt something shifting. Not fear, not doubt, but purpose. Logan sat at the edge of his bed, the metal emblem resting in his palm. It felt heavier each night, not because of weight, but because of truth. Takara was not just a worker, not just some alien girl hiding in shadows. She was someone important. Someone with history, and now, somehow he was part of her secret. The next morning, Doc 17 looked the same, no signs of trouble. But Logan's eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, looking for her. She wasn't there, not at the start of the shift, but he had learned her rhythm. She always appeared when no one expected her. By midday, word spread across the mining camp. A security officer had been found dead near the fenced throat slit clean. No signs of struggle, no camera footage. Must be a thief. Some whispered. Or a bounty hunter, others guessed. Logan's heart pounded. He didn't believe in coincidence, and when he found a small note hidden inside his locker, tiny strip of paper with just one word, careful, he knew it came from her. That night, Logan returned to his small quarters, locked the door, and turned off the lights. He sat in the dark, thinking. He remembered this symbol on the emblem, the one from the royal house of Cathari. He pulled out his old military tablet, one he hadn't used in years, with shaky fingers. He typed in the crest's design and began searching. Most files were locked, restricted, or deleted, but he found one old document saved deep inside a backup folder, Operation Ashwing, Fall of Cathari. It was a report from 15 years ago. The House of Cathari had been destroyed by a rebel empire. They used assassins and poison, not bombs. The emperor and his council were confirmed dead, but one section stood out. Target, Princess Takara. Cathari, status, unconfirmed, last seen fleeing the Temple of Stars, presumed dead. Logan stared at the screen. His breath caught in his throat. Takara was royalty. She wasn't just hiding, she was the last of her kind. Suddenly, a soft knock at his back door broke the silence. He turned, grabbed his tool wrench, and stepped closer. Another knock, 3 short taps, then one long one. The same pattern she had used before on the equipment room door. He opened the panel slightly, and she slipped inside without a word. Her hoodie was wet with dust and sweat. She looked tired, nervous, her hands shaking slightly. "I warned you," she said softly. "They found me." Logan shut the door behind her. "Who?" "Hunters," she said. "The ones sent to finish what the rebels started." "You're not safe here anymore," Logan said. "We need to get you off this planet." Takara shook her head. "Not yet." She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small black crystal, no bigger than a coin. "This holds the names of every surviving Cathari loyalist across the galaxy." She whispered, "If I send this signal, they'll come. But it also means others will track it too." Logan stared at it. So much power inside such a small thing. "Why tell me this?" he asked. "Because I don't trust anyone else," she replied, looking him in the eyes. "You didn't run when you saw who I was. You didn't sell me out. You protected me." Logan sighed, running his hand through his short hair. "I'm just a broken old engineer," he said. "No," she said, her voice firm for the first time. "You're human, and that still means something." They sat in silence. Logan could hear the low hum of engines outside. Machines continuing their endless work, but inside, something fragile was happening. Trust. Takara stood and moved toward the window, pulling back a curtain slightly. "There's a man in the security team," she said. "He works for the rebels." Logan nodded slowly. "The one found dead?" She looked away. "He tried to follow me, so I stopped him. It wasn't a confession. It was a statement of survival." Logan didn't judge. He knew the kind of world she came from. Sometimes you lived only if others didn't. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from her sleeve. She froze, then pulled out a small communicator. A red light blinked. A message received. "They've landed," she said in a whisper. "3 bounty hunters, not far from the main gate. Logan stood, his body tense. What now? Takara looked at him, her violet gold eyes glowing in the dim light. We build something, she said, and fast. Logan grinned a little, despite the fear rising in his chest. Now you're speaking my language, he said. She handed him the black crystal. We activate this when we're ready to run. Not before. He tucked it into a secure pocket. Then let's get to work, princess. For the first time. She smiled, a real smile, tired, small, but full of hope. Outside, the hunters moved in shadows. But inside Dock 17, two unlikely allies were building a plan that might change everything. Dock 17 looked quiet under the orange sky. But beneath that calm surface, something dangerous was building. Logan worked quickly, his hands covered in oil and dust. Takara sat nearby, rewiring the stolen security drone. Her hoodie pulled low over her eyes. Time was running out. The bounty hunters had arrived, 3 of them, heavily armed. Cold and silent. They didn't ask questions. They didn't need names. They were here to collect a royal bounty and kill anyone who got in the way. Logan had seen their kind before during the war. They didn't sleep, didn't talk, just followed targets until the job was done. Now they were hunting her, and if they found her, they'd level the entire dock to get what they wanted. Takara leaned over, sliding a power core into a hidden compartment. We only have one shot at this, she said quietly. I know, Logan replied, tightening a bolt. You sure this trap will work? She nodded. It has to. They had planned it all. The drone she was fixing would serve as a decoy. They'd rewire the landing pad sensors, hide explosives under the scrap metal, and when the bounty hunters arrived to investigate, the floor would collapse under them. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than waiting to die. As the sun dipped lower, Takara stopped working. Her hands trembled slightly. Logan noticed and placed his wrench down. Are you okay? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached up and slowly pulled back her hoodie. Logan saw her face clearly for the first time. No shadows, no disguise, just truth. Her skin shimmered faintly under the last light of the day. Silver lines ran from her temple down to her jaw, royal birthmarks of the Cathari bloodline. Her ears were slightly pointed, her eyes large and glowing violet. But what struck Logan most was her expression, so young and yet full of deep sorrow. This is who I am, she said softly. The girl you helped wasn't just hiding, she continued. She was waiting to die. Logan sat beside her, not speaking for a moment. Then he said, Why come here at all? Takara looked down. Because it was the one place no one would ever look for a princess. She gave a small, bitter laugh. A broken mining colony, full of humans who don't even look at each other. Logan nodded slowly. She wasn't wrong. Most people here were trying to forget, to disappear, and she had slipped right in. Like a ghost in coveralls. I tried to live simply, she said, but I couldn't stop helping. Machines, wires, engines. They speak to me. My father taught me before the war. Logan leaned back against the wall. So you saved lives and fixed machines while hiding from killers. She smiled faintly. Something like that. They sat in silence for a moment. Then a loud thud echoed across the yard, followed by heavy footsteps. Logan jumped to his feet. He peered through a broken window. 3 tall figures approached slowly, wearing matte black armor with glowing red visors. The hunters, he whispered. Takara stood quickly, pulling her hoodie back on. The drone buzzed to life beside her. Now fully reprogrammed. Ready? She asked. Logan nodded. Let's hope they're as dumb as they look. The two moved through the back alleys of Dock 17, sticking to the shadows. Takara flew the drone ahead, making sure it was visible just enough to catch attention. As expected, one of the hunters paused and scanned it. Then they followed, just as planned. Logan activated the trap from his portable control pad. He watched the hunters step onto the metal flooring over the hidden pit. Come on, just a little more, he muttered. Then click, the ground gave way, and 2 hunters dropped into the pit below. Explosives went off around the edges, sending smoke and debris flying. But the third one reacted fast. He jumped back and fired at the drone, blasting it into pieces. Then he turned his weapon toward the source of the signal, Logan's location. "Run!" Logan shouted. Takara grabbed his arm and pulled him behind a stack of fuel canisters. Laser fire tore through the air above them. They ducked. Hearts pounding. "We need to disable him," she said, pulling out a small pulse grenade. "That close?" "We'll be caught in the blast too," Logan warned. "I'll handle it," she said. "Just cover me." Before he could argue, she bolted forward, moving fast and low. The hunter saw her and aimed, but Logan leaped out and threw a metal rod at the rifle. It struck the barrel, knocking it off just long enough for Takara to dive forward and slide under the hunter's legs. She rolled, planted the grenade on his back, and rolled away just as it detonated. Boom! The explosion knocked the hunter flat, smoke rising from his disabled armor. Takara crawled back to Logan, coughing but alive. They looked at each other, breathing hard, and for the first time, Logan really saw her, not just as an alien, not as a princess, but as a fighter, a survivor just like him. He helped her stand. "That was stupid and brave," he said. She smiled. "Mostly stupid." They both laughed, quiet, tired laughter, but real. Together, they walked back to the hangar. The night was far from over, but now, Logan knew something deep in his bones. He wasn't just helping her survive. He was standing beside her for whatever came next. The wreckage of Dock 17 still smoked in the night air. 2 bounty hunters were trapped in the collapsed pit. The third lay stunned from the blast, sparks rising from his broken armor. But Logan knew it wasn't over, and so did Takara. They didn't wait. They ran out through the back gates, past old hangars and quiet storage buildings. Takara led the way, her hood flapping behind her as she guided Logan to an old desert rover. She jumped into the driver's seat. Logan barely had time to climb in before the engine roared to life. Tires kicked up clouds of dust as they sped away into the endless night. "Where are we going?" Logan shouted over the roar of the engine. "To the mountains," she replied, eyes scanning the darkness ahead. "There's a place we can hide and signal for help." Behind them, red lights appeared in the sky tracking drones. The hunters had reinforcements, and they were fast, too fast. Logan reached behind the seat and grabbed a rusted plasma rifle. He hadn't used a weapon in years. His hands were shaky, but his instincts were still sharp. "Company's coming," he muttered. Takara didn't respond. Her focus was total. Her hands firm on the wheel. They moved over sharp rocks and sand like water flowing downhill. But the desert was wide, and there was nowhere to hide. A flash exploded to their right. One of the drones fired a warning shot, sending sand flying. Logan leaned out the window and fired back. The blast missed, but it made the drone slow down. Takara turned sharply, heading into a narrow canyon. The rocks closed in around them, the path winding and dangerous. This was a smuggler trail, she said. "Only locals know about it." "How do you know it?" Logan asked. "My father brought me here once." "Before the war," she answered, her voice distant. Logan said nothing. He could hear the weight in her words. This place held memories, maybe even ghosts. Another drone zipped over the canyon. Scanning, Takara shut off the lights. They drove in near darkness now, only the stars above lighting their path. But even in silence, the chase didn't stop. Behind them, faint echoes of engines filled the air. "They're using heat sensors," Logan said. "We need to block our trail." Takara tossed him a small canister. "Throw that behind us," she said. "It releases heat spikes, should confuse their scans." Logan pulled the pin and tossed it out the window. It landed with a hiss, glowing red and bursting with energy. The drone above wobbled, then veered away, chasing the decoy. They finally reached the base of a tall cliff. At the bottom was a small, hidden shelter built into the rock. Takara parked the rover and ran to the entrance. It was covered in old vines and sand, but she knew exactly where to press. With a soft click, the door opened. They hurried inside, closing the hatch behind them. Inside, the air was cool and still, flickering. Lights blinked weakly as ancient systems powered up. Logan looked around, amazed. "This place is a relic," he whispered. "My family built it," Takara said. "Long ago, in case of war." She moved to the center of the room and uncovered a circular panel. Underneath was a beacon transmitter. She placed the black crystal into the slot. Lights turned blue, then green, then pulsed with a soft hum. "The signal is going out," she said. "It will reach loyalists, if any still exist." Logan sat down, wiping sweat from his forehead. "And the bad guys?" "They'll hear it too," she replied, her voice steady. "They always do." They sat in silence again, both listening to the soft hum of the beacon. Every second felt longer, every breath heavier. "You don't have to stay," Takara said quietly. "They'll kill anyone who helps me." Logan looked at her, tired but calm. "Then they'll have to go through me first," he replied. She turned toward him, surprised. "Why?" He shrugged. "Maybe because you're not just some runaway alien girl anymore. You're brave," he added. "You fight for something bigger than yourself." A faint smile touched her lips. For the first time, her shoulders relaxed a little. She wasn't alone anymore. Suddenly, a soft alarm beeped on the transmitter. A signal had been received. Takara leaned forward, eyes wide. "They answered," she whispered. "Someone's coming." Logan moved beside her on the screen. A message appeared in Cathari script translated roughly into human text. "Cathari signal confirmed. Loyal ship inbound, ETA 14 hours," but another warning followed. "Enemy intercept likely within 6. Logan sighed. "So we just have to survive the next 6 hours. Takara stood and pulled off her hoodie again, her face glowing in the light. "No," she said firmly. "We fight the next 6 hours." He looked at her, truly looked. The girl in the hoodie was gone. Now she stood tall, shoulders back, eyes burning with fire. She was no longer hiding. She was preparing to rise. Logan stood beside her, his rifle charged and ready. If this was the beginning of war, then they would start it together. Asterisk. The beacon pulsed steadily in the hidden shelter. Its blue light was soft, but each flash was a signal to the stars. "We're alive. We're calling." Takara stood beside it, watching with silent hope. But Logan's eyes were on the door. He knew what came next. Not help, not yet hunters. They had less than 6 hours. A loyalist ship was on its way, but enemy forces would arrive much sooner. Takara checked the shelter's defenses. They were old, barely working. The turret system outside had enough energy for one blast, maybe two. The doors were reinforced, but not unbreakable. Logan paced the floor, his fingers wrapped around the grip of his plasma rifle. "This place won't hold them off forever," he said. "I know," Tucker replied. "We have to slow them down long enough for the ship to reach us." He turned to her, frustration on his face. "There has to be another way. Maybe we can escape. Take the rover further into the desert." She shook her head slowly. "If we leave now, they'll chase us, and the loyalist ship will never find us in time." She paused, then added, "This shelter is the only place the signal will stay strong." Logan looked away. He didn't like the answer. But she was right. Running wouldn't save them. Standing their ground might. He sat down and pulled a small photo from his pocket. A worn, faded picture of a young girl, his daughter. She died years ago during a colony outbreak. He had carried the photo every day since. Takara noticed but didn't ask. She just sat beside him. Quiet understanding passed between them. Both had lost more than words could explain. After a long silence, Logan finally spoke. "I swore I'd never fight again. Never pick up a weapon." He looked down at his shaking hands. "But here I am, risking everything for someone I barely know." Takara turned to him. "I may be royalty, Logan," she said, "but I'm also just someone trying to survive. And you didn't just pick up a weapon for me. You did it because it was right." He looked at her. Her face was calm, strong, but not cold. He saw a fighter, yes, but also someone who still believed in others, even after everything. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. The radar system picked up incoming ships, 3 small crafts moving fast. "They're here," Takara whispered, standing quickly. Logan jumped to his feet. Gripping his rifle tight, they moved together, checking the traps they had placed near the entrance. Pressure mines, laser tripwires, and one desperate hope. Timing. Takara climbed up the narrow tower that overlooked the canyon path. With her goggles, she spotted the ships landing half a kilometer away. "They're spreading out," she called down. "2 are moving toward us on foot. Third one is scanning from the air." Logan activated the turret system. A dull hum signaled. It was charging up. He knew it would only fire once. He had to make it count. Takara returned from the tower and handed him a small device. "What's this?" "Remote trigger for the explosives we planted near the rocks," she added. "They'll take cover behind them. We blow the rocks, bury them." Logan nodded. "You really were trained," he said. "My brothers taught me before the palace fell," she replied softly. "Only one of them escaped with me, but he didn't make it." "I'm sorry," Logan said. She gave a small, sad smile. "So am I." Minutes passed like hours. Footsteps echoed from outside, slow, heavy, methodical. The bounty hunters didn't rush. They had time weapons and confidence. They thought they'd win easily. Logan stayed hidden behind the entrance wall. Takara crouched beside the generator, her hand on the power control. Then a shadow. The first bounty hunter appeared, red visor glowing in the dark. Logan waited, his breath held. When the hunter stepped onto the trigger pad, Logan pressed the detonator. Boom! Rocks exploded, and dust filled the air. One hunter was buried instantly. The second shouted something in a strange language, then ran toward the shelter. "Turret ready," Takara said. Logan looked through the targeting screen. He lined up the shot, waited for the perfect second. Then blast, the turret fired. Energy beam slicing through the air and hitting the second target straight in the chest. The bounty hunter fell back, armor melted and smoking. 2 down. But the third ship still hovered above, searching. Suddenly, it opened fire, blasting the outer wall of the shelter. Dust rained down as the structure shook violently. "We won't survive another hit," Logan shouted. Takara grabbed the emergency beacon from the panel. "I'm boosting the signal," she yelled. "They'll know we're under attack." The Loyalist ship, still hours away, would now have a clear direction. But would they arrive in time? The shelter groaned, metal bending under the force of repeated blasts. Logan looked at Takara. "We might not make it." She looked back at him, eyes steady. "But someone will, because we didn't give up." At that moment, Logan made his decision. He wasn't just helping her. He was fighting with her. Not for royalty, not for revenge, but for hope. Together, they reloaded weapons and reinforced the final door. The night wasn't over, but the 2 of them would stand until the very last second. The shelter shook with every blast. Sparks flew from the ceiling, and cracks spread across the walls. Outside, the enemy ship circled low, like a metal vulture waiting to strike again. Logan reloaded the plasma rifle with trembling hands. Takara wiped blood from her forehead and adjusted the beacon's signal dial. They had done everything they could. Traps, signals, gunfire. But now it was just them and the last locked door between life and death. "If they breach that wall," Logan said, breathing heavily. "You run." Takara turned her head slowly, her face firm. "I don't run anymore," she whispered. "Not alone." Logan gave a tired smile. They were strangers once. Now they were the last line, not just for each other, but for something bigger. Another explosion hit the roof. Dust rained down, and the lights flickered. Takara's beacon blinked faster. Someone was close. A signal from above lit up the screen. "Loyalist vessel, Kithari Dawn, entering orbit." "Stand by," she gasped. "They're here." Logan leaned forward, staring at the screen. "But how long until they reach us?" Before she could answer, a loud crash shattered the outer wall. A piece of it caved in, revealing glowing red eyes and heavy boots. One last bounty hunter had made it through, and he wasn't alone. Behind him came a dark figure in royal armor. Not Cathari, but enemy blood. Takara stood slowly, pulling back her hoodie for the final time. Her royal mark shimmered in the dust-filled air. "I am Takara, daughter of the Cathari throne," she said boldly. "You want me? Come take me." The enemy figure stepped forward, holding a blade pulsing with red energy. "You should have died with the rest," he growled, "but you chose to crawl, to hide like vermin." Logan stepped in front of her, rifle aimed. "She's not hiding anymore," he said, "and she's not alone." The enemy raised his blade. Logan fired, hitting him square in the chest, but the armor held, and the blast only knocked him back. The bounty hunter charged, slamming Logan into the wall. Takara screamed, grabbed a metal rod from the floor, and struck the hunter's helmet. The rod cracked, but the force knocked the hunter sideways. Logan fell to the floor, blood dripping from his mouth. Takara knelt beside him, her hands shaking. "Stay with me," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Still here." Suddenly, the air outside changed. A powerful hum filled the canyon. Lights brighter than the sun's flashed above the shelter. Through the shattered roof, a large shadow descended. The Cathari Dawn, a sleek silver ship with the Cathari crest carved into its wings, hovered above. Dozens of light pods rained down from its underbelly. Within seconds, royal loyalists in gleaming armor stormed the ground. The enemy forces turned to flee, but were overwhelmed. The dark warrior tried to escape, but Takara stepped forward, her voice loud and clear. "This ends now." She raised Logan's rifle and fired. The red blade fell from the enemy's hand. He collapsed, unmoving. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of the rescue ship. Logan coughed, still alive. Takara dropped the rifle and ran to him. "You held the line," she whispered. He smiled. "You're full of surprises, Your Highness." Medics arrived, placing Logan on a stretcher. Takara stood tall as they surrounded her, some bowing, some crying. She looked over the ruined shelter, the fallen enemies, and the broken beacon that had called hope back to her. A voice called from the ship, "Princess, the throne awaits you." She looked down at Logan. "I don't want a throne," she said softly. "I want loyalty, like he gave me." Then she turned to the officer. "I will lead, but not alone." Later, aboard the Cathari Dawn, Logan lay in recovery. The medics told him he'd be fine. Just a few broken ribs and bruised bones. Takara walked in, dressed in royal robes now, but her eyes were still the same kind and fierce. She sat beside him. "The council wants to name me queen," she said. "You should," he replied. "You've earned it," she smiled. "They also asked me what I needed to rule." "And what did you say?" "I said I need an engineer," she said with a grin. "One with dirty hands and a clean heart." Logan chuckled. "Sounds like a terrible job." "Maybe," she said, "but I'll make you breakfast sometimes." He raised an eyebrow. "Royal breakfast?" She leaned closer. "With real eggs." They laughed quietly. The galaxy was still broken in many places, but in that moment, a future was being built, not of empires or power, but of trust. A runaway princess, and the human who refused to let her die forgotten, now side by side, ready to rebuild a kingdom together.